Welcome to the online version of Explore 101. We've created this workshop for you, for those of you who are away during the summer but dying to get engaged during your time away. It will help you delve further into career areas you might be interested in and uncover additional career areas that might fit for you. Since this workshop is pretty interactive, we'll be pausing throughout so you can fill out your responses on a Google form that you can then submit to us. As you probably know, this is one of a few steps to get access to the alumni directory, and at the end, we'll walk you through what your next steps are for that.
Exploring careers allows you to make informed career decisions that will make you feel happy and fulfilled in your work. No one wants to stumble into a career that doesn't suit them and makes them miserable. To make informed career decisions, you need two components: knowledge of yourself and knowledge of careers. Knowledge of yourself is the first step in exploring careers. We can understand ourselves by thinking about our skills, interests, and values. Skills are what you're good at and include things such as verbal communication, leaderships, and basketball. Interests are what you like and include things such as business or tacos. Values are what's important to you, such as family and leisure time. In the context of exploring careers, we can think of values as non-negotiables, qualities that a career must include in order for you to feel satisfied and happy. For example, if one of your values is leisure time, you likely wouldn't enjoy a job where you have to continue working once you're home. Why should you reflect on your skills, interests, and values when considering possible career fields? Reflection is a good starting point for exploring careers and can help you decide where to focus your efforts academically. You can also integrate your skills, interests, and values into written materials such as resumes and cover letters. Reflection improves your ability to talk to people about yourself and your potential career interests, which is especially valuable during informational interviews, which we'll cover later in this workshop. Finally, reflection can help you make better and more informed career decisions when the time comes. At this time, turn to section 1 of the Google form. Take a minute to brainstorm as many of your own skills, interests, and values that you can. If you have some time after the session, it can be valuable to ask 2 or 3 people that know you really well what they think of your lists. It can be validating and often surprising.
Next, you'll begin to explore careers by doing an informal skill assessment that we call the 100 jobs exercise. The point of this exercise is that you're going to sort through a list of 100 jobs and instinctively choose 10 of those jobs that seem the most engaging, exciting, or meaningful to you. We want you to work quickly through this section. Don't think too much about whether or not you have the skills for this job or whether you think you'd be qualified or if it pays well. We just want you to go through quickly and do what seems the most meaningful to you. As you complete this activity and some later activities in the workshop, we just want to encourage you to keep an open mind. All of us have thoughts about our futures that can maybe at times hold us back, and these beliefs can lead you to not have an open mind when considering other careers. If you think broadly going through this, you may be surprised by what you discover. At this time, pause the video to complete the 100 jobs exercise. After completing this exercise, which should only take a minute or two, turn to section 2 of the Google form and list the top 10 jobs that you chose. Do not complete the second question at this time. We will be doing that in just a minute. Curious George completed the same exercise as you and selected a list of the top 10 jobs which are the most meaningful and exciting to him. In a minute, you'll look through your own list and find a series of themes that you notice. But first, take a look at Curious George's top 10 jobs that he selected. You can see these in section 2 of the Google form as a picture. Do you see any themes in his list? There are many themes that connect his top 10 jobs, and I'll focus on a few of them now. Some themes may be more or less obvious than others, and there may be some themes that stick out to you that I don't talk about or I don't notice, and that's okay. Since you'll be drawing themes from your own experiences, the most meaningful themes will be those which stick out to you the most. In Curious George's list, leadership is a central theme, as you can see in his roles as diplomat, ship captain, and sports coach. Another theme is arts and creativity, since he's interested in being a music composer and a fine artist. Finally, Curious George likes to be on the scene, getting his monkey paws dirty as an automobile mechanic, a ship captain, and a sports coach. You may notice some outliers in his list, such as public relations professional, and in your own list. At this time, turn to section 2 of the Google form and write a few themes you noticed in your own list.
Now that we've taken some time to explore knowledge of yourself and informally explore a list of occupations, you'll complete a formal self-assessment called CareerBeam. On section 3 of the Google form, there's a link to CareerBeam. Before assessing the assessment, you'll need to click Register here and make an account. You'll get an email to register your account. This often goes to your spam folder, so check the spam folder if you're waiting for the registration email. Once you're signed into CareerBeam, take the quick profile and interest portion of assessing yourself. I'll show you how to find both of these assessments, then give you time to complete them. Click on the View Career Profile button at the top of the website. Completing the quick profile will give you a list of jobs and industries that match your values and interests. Completing the interest assessment will show you the 2 work interest areas that you gravitate towards. You'll receive a list of related industries as well as areas that you might want to consider a job in. Some of you may have identified career fields that you are interested in learning more about. Others may still not have a clear idea. And that's okay. Sometimes assessments point to careers that you've already thought about, and sometimes they point to careers you never consider, like a funeral director or Harvard master. These assessments are just a starting point. Next, turn to section 3 of the Google form and rank your top 2 work interest areas from your career profile, shown in blue at the top of the interest section. Write down these 2 work interest areas since you'll be using them again later in this website. After, list 5 occupations that you might wish to explore based on previous knowledge, the 100 Jobs exercise, and CareerBeam.
So the more you know about yourself and the more you know about the potential career options there are out there, the better decisions you can make that ultimately will hopefully make you happier. So you guys just did a little bit of exploration based on what you love, what you're good at, and we're going to show you some ways to do a little bit of research to find out what is out there that might be a good fit for you. You might already have some pretty distinct ideas, but it's really important to think about the fact that the things you might be interested in 5 years down the line might not exist yet. And so being able to dig deeper and find out more about the careers out there can be really important. So we think about the process of exploring careers as one that you can do with very little effort or a whole lot of effort, and there's kind of a continuum of different ways that you can explore. So the very easiest way to explore careers is probably going to be pretty obvious to you. You can read things. So you can, just like you do a million times a day, go on your phone, Google something, and find out a little bit more than you knew before. There's lots of knowledge at our fingertips these days. So the easiest way to explore careers is by reading. You can do it in your room, in your pajamas. You can take a study break to read. You can use it to procrastinate. And by reading, you can get really basic ideas about industry areas, about roles within them, and kind of basic and broad information. And then you can delve deeper for details that you're really curious about. In a few minutes, we'll demo some places that you can read and get really good information that's kind of curated for you that the Career Center recommends to do your reading. One step more involved is actually going out of your way and having a conversation with someone who works in that career field or has experience that you're looking for, and they can tell you a little bit more about the reality of what their day-to-day is like, tell you from their point of view what's good, what's bad, what it takes to survive in that field. So you're getting a little bit of a more human perspective there. One step more involved than that is watching people do what they do. Now, you can't just drop into any workplace and watch people at their work, but you can definitely line up half days, full days, even in some industries, a full week of shadowing or observing people to figure out what they do on a regular basis. This is pretty common within medical fields, and it's a little bit more of a surprise when you might ask someone in a different field, but it's definitely something that professionals are open to. And then the most involved way to explore a career is, of course, by doing it. And that doesn't mean you have to graduate here and do it full time in order to get that experience. For a lot of you, it's going to be your summer internships or other career-related experiences. But sometimes it might be a shorter term volunteer experience or even an organization on campus or an on-campus job that helps you do things to figure out whether you like using those skill sets. So those are the 4 increasingly more involved ways to explore careers: reading, talking, watching, and doing. So we're going to demo a few of the resources on our website for you so you can get a sense of ways that we recommend getting started with them. This won't be comprehensive of all the resources you might use, but it'll definitely be a start for you to do a little research, find out a few things that you're interested in, and know where to move forward with some more research when you have a little more time.
The first resource we're going to be demoing is called ONET. There are a few other resources on our website we will not cover today, but we encourage you to check all of them out because they all have different functionalities that can be wonderful for your searching process. The way to get to these resources is to go to the main Career Center webpage on the Hamilton College website, and from there we have a sidebar, and the Explore tab has a list of all of our resources that we recommend you check out. When you scroll down on this page, you will see the resources list, and ONET is right in the middle. ONET is great because the main search you can do on this is you can plug in your 2 work interest areas directly from CareerBeam. You can find this by going to the advanced search and then clicking from Browse by ONET data, going to Interests. These words do not correspond exactly with the 2 work interest areas you've received from CareerBeam, but they do convert, and for that we have a key on section 4 of the Google form. And when you look at that key, you will be able to translate your top 2 and put it directly into ONET. One of the cool things about this is it'll sort occupations for you based on the order of that top 2, and I can show you that now. For example, my number 1 is artistic, so I will click on that. And for my number 2, I will select enterprising, which is my number 2. And now when I search, it'll show the order of my 2 interests. So the AE is artistic enterprising. There are some enterprising artistics, but because they're my top 2, it is still a similar search. And then it shows the job zone, which is the level of education. This ranges from just needing a high school degree towards the bottom, needing a bachelor degree, and then finally a master's degree, which would be 5. And you can see there's a lot of different occupations in here. Some may be similar to what you expect, and some may not be what you're expecting during your own exploring process. We encourage you to stay flexible when thinking about these. For example, some things that may be strange are nannies, chefs, and that sort of thing. You'll see next to some of these there are suns. That means that these specific fields have a bright outlook, which means that they are rapidly becoming more popular for employees to look for. So if you are looking on here and you see that something has a sun, then that means that it might be good for you to check out. We'll go through one now as an example. I will just click on Editor, and when you click on an occupation, it shows a lot of different very valuable information. So here you can see some reported job titles. You can see some of the tasks and technology skills needed, as well as the knowledge and regular skills needed, abilities, work activities, detailed work activities, work context, the education level needed, and credentials, interests, and it just goes on. There is a lot of really great information on here that you can easily find. So we highly encourage that you take a few minutes to play around with this after I demo it for you. Another great function that ONET has is when you go back to the home page, you can do a quick occupation search. So if there's something that you want to receive that information on that may not exactly correspond to your work interest areas, you can do so. For example, if I type in banker, you can quickly see some occupations that match banker. I'm going to click on teller just as an example, and here you can see that you receive some of the same information. So this can be a great way to quickly gain a lot of knowledge about an occupation and some of what the day-to-day would be like, as well as the skills and education required. The course that we're going to show off is called What Can I Do with a Major in? You can see this on the top of the resource list under the Explore tab on our website. This is a great resource to use for some more undecided job searches or more broad job searches. One of the great and main functions that it has is that you can search by a major and see what people have reported, some industries, occupations, and fields that they've done after doing that major. We'll do a few examples so you can see what this looks like. Whenever we do this workshop, the main example that people like to see is theater, because you may think originally like, oh, that sounds like the least employable major of all time. And that's not exactly true. So it's a great example to use when demoing this website. You can see there are a bunch of different majors. Hamilton does not have all of these, but it does show basically every major that exists in the wonderful United States of America. We will go down to theater, and you can see what that looks like. So from here, it gives you a bunch of different areas that the theater major could encompass. From there, there is a list of employers, and this is great because it gives more broad types of employers rather than giving you specific names. For example, an employer for performing in theater may be community theaters, dinner theaters, amusement and theme parks, and it provides also some strategies you can use in order to secure these different positions. As you continue down, it provides more areas that you can use in the major. For example, a theater major could also direct theater, or go behind the scenes in theater, write theater, do the business side of theater, education relating to theater, and some more general information about the job search process having been this major. It also provides some more information at the bottom, such as professional associations, occupational outlook, and other employment opportunities. So this can be a great way if you have a major and you're not exactly sure how it corresponds to your own career exploration process. You can go on here and quickly see some broad searches and strategies that you could utilize in your exploration process. The course that we're going to demo in this workshop is called Facts on File. This is a great way to do both broad and narrow searches based on industry or occupation. So this website is wonderful both for beginning the career exploration process and as well as if you have a more defined idea of what you want to do. If you click on Browse All Industries and Careers, it will pull up a list of career clusters. This is wonderful if you have a broad sense of what you want to do, but you're not exactly sure yet. For finance, for example, when you mouse over the tab, you can see that it provides a list of multiple industries, such as hedge funds, mutual funds, venture capital, and a lot of other industries. For this demonstration, we will be looking at investment banking. One thing to note with this website is that it loads incredibly slowly, so if you click on this and it looks like it crashed, that is just what it does. That is all part of the fun of the career exploration process. And now that we've pulled up the industry, you can see that it provides a lot of different information. For example, it has an overview of the historic background of the industry. As you go towards the bottom, it provides the structure of what the industry actually looks like. So if you want to receive more information and research on how the actual industry fits in before you look into occupations or companies, this can be an incredibly valuable way to do a lot of research about the industry that you're interested in. You can see there's a lot more information, so we encourage you to take a look, especially for industries that you're interested in. This will give you a good head start to kind of put yourself into it. As you scroll back to the top on the right, you can see there are some related industries. A lot of those are the ones that were under the industry cluster for finance. There are also a list of related careers. So if you want to be an investment banker, you can click on this and it will similarly provide a lot of information after going through a very slow loading process. Here you can see that it also provides an overview and a history, a lot of the similar information as the last page, but it'll also provide some more of the skills and day-to-day processes of the job. So if you're an investment banker, you will be raising money, selling bonds and shares, and advising on mergers and acquisitions. Of course, specific occupations in different companies may have different things that you do, but this is just a broad sense of the specific occupation. This information is very fascinating and can be great if you're looking for a more narrow career and you have a sense of what you want to do, so we encourage that you check it out. On the right here, there are some quick facts which can be really great just to browse through if you're not exactly sure, which gives you some of the titles, the duties, salary range, which this is very impressive. If it goes up to 1 million plus, that's a pretty good job. It has geographic locations, education level, and some other things that it shows are the career ladder. So you are likely to start as an analyst before slowly moving up to a vice president and then exactly to a managing director. The final resource that we're going to demo in this workshop is called the Vault. This is a wonderful resource to use if you maybe have a more specific notion of what you want to do. For companies, this is a great way to receive guides on a lot of different information about them. So at the top, you can see that you can research companies, internships, and schools. For the sake of this workshop, we're going to demo what it looks like to search a company. Like I said earlier, if you have a more specific notion of what you want to, maybe who you want to work for in the future, you can easily search that. So for an example, we will do Goldman Sachs. They are a very popular employer for students to pursue. Here you can see that there is a lot of different information, such as an overview about the employer as a whole, including some uppers, downers, and the overall buzz of the employer. It provides some rankings, for example, such as their prestige, the hiring process, the benefits that they provide to their employers. It's really great because you can also see employee reviews. In this case, they have over 900 reviews, so it is a great way to get a sense of the employer without necessarily having an informational interview. From here, you can start to deduce the culture of an employer as well as what the actual day-to-day can look like. At the end, there is a list of jobs and positions that they are hiring for, which you can search for by location, title, salary estimates, maybe the type of job. And you can also see at the top that they have a related internship. So maybe if you want to explore a career at Goldman Sachs, but you're not graduating, you can apply for the summer internship, which also gives some information about that. So if you have a more specific notion of a company or internship that you're searching for, the Vault can be incredibly helpful to read guides and information about that employer.
We know that some of you are doing this online workshop this summer because you're interested in finance opportunities and want to start doing some research and then some networking. So some resources that might be particularly interesting to you as you delve deeper into the areas of finance you might be interested in are Wall Street Oasis and Investopedia. Right now, we want you to spend a few minutes exploring these resources yourself. So in section 4 of the Google form, you'll find a link to the place on our website where you'll find some of the more general resources, and you'll find some questions that we want you to answer after you do a little research.
Networking as a verb is to interact or engage in informal communication with others for mutual assistance or support. Network as a noun means an extended group of people with similar interests or concerns who interact and remain in informal contact or mutual assistance or support. Does this definition sound different from what you thought? We tend to think of networking as a job search term, and many people feel intimidated by it. But we network and form networks all the time outside of the context of job or internship searching. We can think of networking in 3 parts. The first is relationship building. Networking should be more than just people using people to get a job. The second part is talking with people who can help you advance towards your goals of learning more about a career. The final part of networking is talking with people to identify others who could be helpful due to their expertise in a given industry, their connections to people or organizations, or their location. The more formal process of networking is informational interviews. You might think of informational interviews as the building blocks of networking, a way to get started. They are where you take time to set up a conversation with someone in person, by phone, or over Skype, and asking them a series of questions about their work. Talking to people about what they do is a great way to find out what the job is really like. It can expand your network, lead to awareness of job openings, and prepare you for career-related experiences. This section of talking will focus on preparing you to reach out to people and conduct informational interviews, both for career exploration and for uncovering potential internship leads. The first step of informational interviews is to identify people in your network. A common misconception that we hear a lot is when students say, "I don't have anyone in my network because I don't know anyone who works in my field of interest." While it's true you don't know anyone who works in your field of interest, you may know or be connected to someone who does. Your existing network consists of people that care about you and want to help you further your goals. Whether you realize it or not, you began developing a network from the time you were born. You can expand your network to include people you don't know yet through connections or a shared community, such as Hamilton. Groups of people in your network include friends, relatives, community members, people you worked with in high school, jobs and classes, Hamilton faculty, Hamilton alumni, and others. The Hamilton community is a vital part of your network, and you can access the alumni directory, My Hamilton Connect, by attending Explore 201. The second step is to develop goals for informational interviews you'd like to have. Goals help you figure out who you'd like to talk to and what you'd like the conversation to be about. Some goals you might have include gathering info about a career field or organization, gaining insight about their path to their occupation, for example, what CREs they did and what their major was, getting advice on strategies and application materials, getting referrals to additional contacts, and finding out about potential CREs. And the final step is to decide how to talk about yourself in the context of your career interests. Since networking is primarily about building relationships, you need to be ready to talk about yourself as well as learn from the person you are talking to. Think about how you would like to introduce yourself in a way that's interesting and honest. Let the person you're interviewing understand what stage of the career exploration process you're at, such as whether you're just getting started or if you have a clear path in mind. A good way to start might be thinking about the skills, interests, and values that we brainstormed earlier in this workshop. It's also important to include why you'd like to speak with them in particular and tell them the goals of your conversation. What do you want to learn? What advice would help you move forward? At this time, turn to section 5 in the Google form and complete the 3 questions. These will give you time to figure out who is in your network, brainstorm the future types of people you'd like to talk to, and begin to create goals for future conversations.
The third, more involved step in the career exploration process is watching, or shadowing. This may seem like a strange way to learn about careers, but in a career context, the process of shadowing is not unusual. It can take place over half a day, a full day, or simply being present in a workplace that interests you and talking to people who work there. Shadowing is especially common within the medical field, where shadowing opportunities may even be more commonplace than informational interviews or internships. But you can create shadowing opportunities in other fields as well. If you're interested in shadowing, it's a good idea to start with informational interviews and build from there. The Career Center also has a formal scheduled shadowing program called A Day in the Life. It takes place in the fall semester over October break, so please look for that. Doing. The most involved way to explore a career is to actually do it. This means participating in an internship or volunteer experience in an industry or position you're interested in. Doing something is a great way of gaining experience and learning more about a field, but it's also a great way to realize what you don't enjoy. If you figure out from a summer internship that you're not interested in a certain type of work, it will greatly help you in your career exploration process and give you a better direction of what you will like in future jobs or internships.
So Explore 101 is the first of a 3-step process that will help you gain access to the alumni directory. Our signal that you've finished this workshop will be your completion and submission of the Google form. And then after you've done that, we'll send you a link to the networking video and the quiz that goes with it. If you don't get that link from us soon, you can email discovery@hamilton.edu to request that. When you've finished the quiz and ideally gotten a score of 80 or above, send a screenshot of your score to discovery@hamilton.edu, and then we can set up an appointment for you to get your networking email approved, which is the 3rd step towards getting access to the alumni directory. Please, if you have any questions, you can reach out to discovery@hamilton.edu or to me, Janine Oliver, joliver@hamilton.edu. You're having a wonderful summer and that it's not as rainy as it is here in Clinton.